My story began 8th of October 2010. I can remember it so clear. It was on a Friday around 8 a.m. I had to be at school 8:30 and I had a biology test. I was on my way to school by bike and I was just revising everything that I learned for biology in my head. I was biking underneath a bridge and the bridge leads to a tram stop and people were walking out, and then suddenly in front of my face a guy wanted to cross the road where I was biking. Obviously I didn't want to hit him, so I tried to dodge him. But from behind me, another biker hit me. All I can remember is me spinning around in the air, falling underground with the left side of my left knee hitting the concrete and my bike hit the right side of my left knee. I heard something snap and then just an immense amount of pain. Fast forward to being in the hospital. They made a picture. I had a broken knee. So they took me in, I got my own room, but my case was something that all the doctors there hadn't experienced yet. So they didn't know how to fix my knee. I spent a week in the hospital before they could figure out what to do with my knee, before they could find the right surgeon to fix my knee, and that's where it all started. I felt so alone and so isolated. I felt so helpless because I didn't know what to do. I wasn't allowed to move. I couldn't even move because every little movement that I made hurt so much. I needed help with everything. I couldn't even normally go to the bathroom. I had people helping me with that too. And to make it all worse, right when I got my accident, I got on my period. So my mood was already pretty down. Then I finally had my surgery, which was also so stressful. Could finally go to the surgery room and I was ready. They put like all the clothes on me that you need while doing surgery, and I was literally waiting there 1 hour and a half till I could actually have my surgery. So I kind of had it with hospitals, and I do not want to see a hospital in my life ever again. It left such a horrible vibe, so I try to avoid hospitals as much as I can. I got my surgery and then I got my cast. I had a cast from my ankle till my hip and I couldn't walk on it. I wasn't mobile at all, still needed help with everything. But obviously my parents couldn't stay home every single day, so I had to sort of manage on my own. The cast had to stay there for 6 weeks, and like I said, I wasn't mobile at all. I had crutches and I sort of tried to move with that and just do things with that, but it wasn't easy since I had a cast from my ankle till my hip. So even grabbing myself a sandwich was a whole marathon for me. I remember being so exhausted all the time, and because I couldn't bend my left knee and they didn't want to screw up my blood flow, my mom had to inject me every single day with something that helps your blood flow. I got a little bed downstairs because I couldn't go up to my bedroom. That was my place. Was home all the time. Couldn't even go out. I have a garden, but I couldn't go out there. I felt very isolated. It drove me crazy. I tried to watch series, but at one point that's not interesting at all either. Feeling that isolated and that dependent made me lose my mind a lot. Obviously I couldn't go to school as well, so I was getting homeschooled, and that's when I noticed something was very off with me, because whatever lesson I got, I was just not into it. Whatever entertainment I wanted to do, I was just not into it. I just remember just staring into nothing, feeling miserable. I just didn't have the energy to do anything. I felt nothing, basically. I love my little brother more than anything, and when I noticed that something was wrong was when I looked at my little brother and I felt nothing either. It was very scary because I felt so numb, so emotionless. There was nothing there. I didn't even know what it was called, what I was feeling, what I was experiencing. And then it got worse because those very awful thoughts just kept popping into my mind. I remember that one time I was having either lunch or dinner with my family, and my mom was just preparing her sandwich, and she put down the knife that she was preparing the sandwich with, and I just kept staring at it and just thinking, what would happen if I use it? And just things like that kept happening. Fast forward and I could go to school again. And like I said, I didn't have the will to do anything. School was going so bad, and because it went so bad, I even felt worse. And then fast forward to getting our reports. Right there, it said that I couldn't go to the next class. So I had to do that year over again. And that's when the lowest point hit me. I just felt like I was worthless and everything was going wrong. Nothing would make it okay again. It was such a slap in the face, and I cried my eyes out that day. I remember arriving home, crying, going up to my room. I opened my window and I looked down. All I could think was jump, but I got scared and I grabbed a beanie from my closet. I pulled it over my face so I wouldn't be able to look. And that's when my mom came in and she saw me standing like that in front of my window, and she just grabbed me and helped me. And I remember just crying till midnight. Even after that, I felt so miserable. Then I knew that I had depression. It was the worst period of my life, and I don't ever want to go back to it, but it's something that happened. It's something that I will always carry with me. From then, it was hard, but things were getting better because I got into a new class and I got new classmates I bonded with pretty easy. That's where I met my best friend from now, and it just opened my eyes a little bit and I felt better, I thought at least. Still, something in me after that moment just didn't feel the same. There was always this little part of me that just felt uneasy and icky, but I could never ever get rid of it. And every time moments get hard, it just pops back. And that's what I've learned this year. If you've seen my previous video about living life with my strict parents, you know kind of what's going on in this household. But that triggered the depression that I've already had, because when that was going on in my life, and it's not as intense right now, but right then it was very intense, just the clash between me and my parents, I just fell back into depression. It wasn't as bad as my first time I had it, because I could sort of tell my mind no. Like, I gave you an example that I love my little brother so much, and looking at him didn't even make me feel something. That wasn't the case this time. Like, when I looked at him, I could still feel that I loved him very much. So I didn't really have that numb feeling at all, but I still was struggling with my own happiness, and the bad thoughts popped up more than the good thoughts, and it's very hard to deal with. So I thought I would manage. It was going a little bit better. I went on a very nice holiday with my best friend, and when I was there I felt so free and I felt very happy, the happiest I could ever be. Then I came back to this place. I kept on having this stupid, icky and uneasy feeling in me again, and I fell right back into it as if I never got out. Because in Bali I was super happy and super cheery, and then when I came back all of that just disappeared. All my hard work for feeling like how I was feeling in Bali was for nothing, and I kept feeling worthless again and not important and a burden to everyone. But this time it was different, because this time I had that isolated feeling again, and I felt so alone, and it was driving my mind crazy again. I didn't see a way out anymore. I had all these things planned of what I wanted to do, how I wanted to get out of here, like finding my own place and all that sort of thing. I had it all figured out, but at that moment everything disappeared and I just wanted to give up. I was done. At that moment, the numb feeling again came back. I was just thinking about people that are closest to me, that I care a lot about, but I just felt nothing came up. The bad thoughts started popping up again, and one day it was so worse because I was so certain that I couldn't live my life this way. I had it all planned out what I wanted to do. So turned off my phone, got in bed that day crying till I fell asleep. I didn't have the energy to get out of bed. I was so tired and I really didn't want to continue anymore, and I was thinking about different ways to make it stop. I had some methods planned out, and this time I really wanted to go through with it. And thinking about it now, I feel so stupid and I feel so weak, and I feel like I disappointed a lot of people because of it. But it's something that was going on in my mind, and I was planning to do it that night. But then 2 of my friends showed up at my house. They rang the bell and I woke up, and they kept ringing the bell and they kept ringing the bell, and I really didn't even have the energy to stand up. But that gave me a little bit of hope, if that makes sense. And I got up and I opened the door and I raced right back to my bed and just hid underneath my blankets, and they came up and they talked to me, and I'm very grateful for that, because if they hadn't showed up, I don't know what I would have done. But that was my little light at the end of the tunnel, because then I realized that there are actually people who care, and that what I was thinking about is very selfish, and that there are other ways to get through it. I left my house for a few days, and that really helped. It really felt refreshing to get out of the house. And together with them, I just made a plan again. They made me realize what I was doing it for. Flash forward to now, I am feeling a lot better, but I've come to realize that when you've had depression, it never ever goes away. It's always there in the back of your mind. Is the icky and the uneasy feeling is always there, and some days are harder than other days, and because I just realized that, it makes dealing with that a little bit easier, because now I'm trying to train my brain a bit that when those negative thoughts pop in my mind, I can just say no, not today. That I know that I have it, but that I know how to deal with it as well. And that was an eye-opener for me. It's gonna be a lifelong battle, but it's a battle I'm willing to fight. Because this might sound very cheesy, but my number one goal in life is having my own happy family. Just finding that special someone and building your own life. Having your kids, getting married, dogs, cats, whatever, like that happily ever after picture. That's what I want. And every time when life gets hard, I just remind myself of the picture that I can have and that I will work towards. Life with depression is no fun. It's not like I have depression right now, but it's still a part of you when you've had it. And when you've had a bad day, it tries to creep up again, and that's the hardest thing to deal with, knowing that it's not ever gonna be the same again. It's the scariest feeling you can ever have, because if you've really experienced depression, there isn't a feeling at all, and that's the scariest. Nothing someone else says, nothing someone else does is important anymore. The only thing you can think about is a way out. So yeah, this is my story about my depression. It's a battle, but right now I have the will to fight for it more than I ever did. Don't really know what else to say. Just wanted to get it off my chest. So here you go.